Hey guys, how y'all doing? So today I'm joined by Alex T of Blackoath Entertainment. He's a prolific game creator. I mean this in the best possible way, of course. He's created many games. He currently has a Kickstarter coming up on, I think it's Wednesday the 14th. Is
Yeah, well, Thursday
that correct?
actually.
Oh,
Thursday.
Thursday. Oh, Thursday.
Yeah,
So
Thursday.
yeah,
Yeah.
so when this goes up, it will be active a day or two later. Um, yeah. So thank you for coming on, Alex. As I said before, I love your games. I recently done a review on Sacrifice. I'm going to tell you how many games of yours I have. I'm going to go through them. So I am a bit of a fanboy. So I have Kieran Atalis. I have the first zine that went along with that. I have Across a Thousand Dead Worlds, where Ruthless Heavens, Boundless Fate. I have the cards as well that go along with Kieran Atalis. I have Sacrifice and the three different expansion zines. And what else? I have the Path of Aram Thur, which you done with Galliot Night Games,
Yeah.
and you also your company published Overwar, the Night Comes Monarch Edition. So yeah, they're currently the games I have of yours.
Well,
So I
that's
have one or two.
yeah. I appreciate the support, and well, and by the way, hi and thank you for having me over.
Oh, of course, it's my pleasure. So yeah, so we're gonna have a look at Riftbreakers second edition. Actually, I
Yeah.
have Riftbreakers first edition. I got the PDF with it with Across a Thousand Dead Worlds. I forgot that one. See, it's too many.
Nice.
So yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the Kickstarter and what made you get into or want to do a second edition. Before we do that, how about we talk what got you into role playing games and eventually led up to you creating your own stuff?
Yeah. So I started playing role playing games actually pretty young. I was like, I must have been 10, something like that, when I discovered the red box, the Dungeons and Dragons one from. It was at my cousin's place. We kind of played it probably wrong, and I don't know, we weren't really aware what role-playing games were. This was in 1990, something like that. And fast forward a couple of years when I actually started, I one of my friends in school, middle school, he just came up one day. Yeah, we're playing this thing called role-playing games. We're playing this Lord of the Rings game. It was Middle Earth role playing, the red merp, the
Yeah,
classic.
yeah,
Yeah. So, and of course I was a big fan of of Lord of the Rings, and I immediately said yes. So that's how it started. Basically, that was in '92. I was 12 years old, and from there
nice.
it's been nonstop.
It's a good
So
start.
yeah. Yeah. So I shortly after, I was mostly a player when we started off, of course. But then I moved to a different town, and I ended up being the forever GM, basically. So that led me to get used to writing my own content. I was quite prolific even back then, always writing stuff for for, for games. I wrote a lot of stuff for Stormbringer, for Rollmaster,
Yeah.
and Call of Cthulhu too. So yeah, we had several. We have like 2 or 3 weekly games, like very long games, like 4 6 hours games.
Oh wow,
The advantages of being a
that's
teenager.
impressive. That's
Yeah,
impressive.
I wish I could pull that off now.
And I was like, can I have an hour to do anything?
Yeah. Nice. No, and also it's just a matter of stamina. I mean, I don't think I can hold playing a game more than 2 hours, whatever it is. Doesn't matter how much fun I'm having. It's like I'm done for today. So yeah, from that it was like a natural step to move into writing games to get them published. So
Yeah, so as you were growing up and playing games, you just created your own stuff, be it adventures. Probably, I'm gonna guess you changed, you added rules in, maybe stuff like
yeah, of
that.
course, yeah, a lot
Yeah,
of setting
like
stuff. I was pissed off with, well, not pissed off, but I was bothered with, at least with the Spanish version, because back then I only had access to Spanish books. Well, actually, I think the Rollmaster books, maybe I had them in English, but all these Stormbringer stuff, I had it all in Spanish, and it's been one of my favorite settings, and and the game's pretty solid too since ever. So there wasn't enough detail about a lot of the towns and that kind of stuff. So I basically just developed the whole setting myself. It was like pages and pages with maps of every single town, all
Oh
the
wow.
establishments. Yeah, I mean everything. It was very exhaustive. So yeah, it was a lot of lore and world building.
Oh wow, so maybe a little ADHD in there. Must
Yeah,
complete everything.
probably.
So then this obviously eventually led you to creating Blackout Entertainment. So what was the process behind that? Was there anything like, oh, I really want to publish something and I just needed to create a company?
Yeah, well, it all started with when I wrote Disciples of One Shadow, which it was this small little game heavily inspired by For Against Darkness. But I thought it needed a little bit more of proper setting and overworld exploration. I mean, I wanted to create that kind of game, but adding the things I thought I was missing.
Mm,
And once I wrote it, I sent it to Matt from Exalted Funeral, and he immediately loved it and published it. So we started working together for a couple of releases, and then I realized I needed a name to write under because just Alex, it was just, I don't know, not enough. So I decided to go with Blackoath Entertainment. And then when I finally stopped working with Exalted Funeral, it became the real proper business name,
yeah.
and everything I've been publishing afterwards has been through that, and well, and including the fact that I published a couple of other games from other writers under Black Oath also. So I don't know, it came just a natural thing to do, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a cool name. Was like, did you come across it somewhere? You're like, or you're like, oh no, that kind of sounds like cool, sort of dark, mysterious.
Yeah, honestly, I can't remember how I came up with it, but yeah, it sounds
Yeah,
cool. It sounds dark,
yeah.
so the,
I think that's how a lot of things happen. Is oh,
yeah,
that sounds kind of cool. Let's go with that,
yeah,
and
that's
it
that's
becomes
like,
like it slowly becomes like an iconic thing that's like well known. Because like
as long as it
good
sounds
few of your
cool, I'm
game,
happy with it. So yeah, I'm
yeah.
very
Because like
simple.
the good few like, your games have some of them have blown up quite big as well.
The what? Sorry.
Some of your games have blown up quite
Oh,
big as well.
yeah, I suppose
So
I've been lucky
yeah,
with a couple of the games. Yeah.
well, I think it's largely because you create quality stuff as well. So that's the main thing I think.
Well,
Um,
thanks.
yeah, because one thing as well I wanted to touch on before we look at the Kickstarter stuff here is pretty much all your games have really well done solo rules. Um, so people, or as you also put yourself, or lazy DMs, they can use these tools to make things run better and easier for them, for the easier for the DM or for solo players. So, is there any reason that you decided you want to add solo rules in? Was it for yourself, or people are asking about stuff like that, and you because you develop them more and more with each game?
Yeah, so I started from the get go specializing in solo stuff. So, of course, for myself, I always write whatever I write. It's always with my own enjoyment in mind. Because if I don't
Yeah,
like it, how can I expect other people to like it?
yeah.
So, but since the name of Black Oath became more and more associated with solo games, it will be weird to release something without solo support. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like I'm making a half done game actually, because I got so
Yeah.
used to have all that solo content baked into my games that yeah, it will feel like I'm cheating. It's like this is too simple. This is too. It needs more support. So it's a no brainer right now for me to write a game with complete solo support.
And also, it's obviously going to help you to play the game itself if you don't have people around or nearby at a certain time to play games. So you can sort of test out how all the systems work
Yeah, of course,
while with developing the solo rules for it. So it's sort of a win-win situation for everyone then.
definitely. I'm always my first uh, playtester.
Player.
Yeah,
Yeah.
always. Yeah.
So we'll have a look at the Kickstarter page here, and we also have a preview of the PDF as well. So if you want, we can look at parts of that. But
Sure.
so you created Riftbreakers first edition a couple years ago now, is it?
Yeah, 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah, the first edition.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
So what was the inspiration behind creating that, and then what made you want to have a second edition?
Well, the first one came purely from the desire to make something like a old school MMO, something like World of Warcraft, but into a tabletop context and for a single player. So
Okay.
I really enjoy that, just going on quest and loot, progressing your character. I mean that closed loop of going into a dungeon or a quest or whatever, getting loot, so you can go to a better, more difficult area. I mean, the typical gameplay loop that MMOs are famous for. So I
Yeah.
thought I didn't see anything like that in any existing tabletop role playing games. So I thought, okay, I'm going to try to do this. And of course, a big focus of all that is the crafting and looting and randomly generated gear and all these kind of things,
Hmm.
which I think it's what I personally find it very fun. And so all that went into the first edition, and it was quite well received actually. I was very happy with it, but there were things that after all this 2 3 years, I've been receiving a lot of feedback, and there's always a consistent set of complaints or whatever you want to call it. Like
Mm.
everybody point out, okay, this is amazing, but this other thing doesn't work. This is, for example, a lot of people had a problem with grinding. There was way too much experience grinding. The difficulty was a little bit wonky because enemies of your same rank were relatively easy, but the second you fought somebody from just one rank higher than you're basically screwed. So
Mm.
the balancing was a little bit off, and
Okay.
even though I made a few, well, several, I made several balancing passes. I think like 6 updates. The first edition received 6 updates. Yeah, so I adjusted it with all the feedback and all that. There were still fundamental core systems that they just needed a rework, complete rework.
Yeah.
So that's why at the end I decided, okay, initially I was just going to make a kind of rework big patch and leave it like a first edition or enhanced edition, something like. Actually, it was going to be called the Guild edition. So I was going to add
Mm.
the. I,
So
I
like a
wrote some.
1.5 version.
Yeah, I wrote some additional rules that are available. It was going to be part of an expansion, but I and it ended up not happening. So it was released on my Patreon. There was some guild rules and companion rules, and for more detail with companions. And so I was going to bake all that into the core and release it as the guild edition. But the more I worked on it, the more I realized that this was a second edition. There was way too many systemic changes. I had streamlined a lot of things, and yes, I think it's a proper second edition. I even changed the format. All the art is new. Everything is new. Absolutely everything about the game is new. So
Nice. So yeah, you went pretty much all in then.
yeah,
Yeah, that's I've seen you in some other videos or interviews talking about how you do things. You start changing some things here or there, or come up with one or two ideas, and all of a sudden you get bit by a bug, and you're like, must go crazy.
yeah. The future creep. I have a big problem with that. I
Yeah.
start with a tiny thing and it just takes a life on its own, and it keeps growing and growing and growing. Precisely, I was telling you before off camera. I was working on the last one of the last chapters I have left
Yeah.
for the second edition Riftbreakers, which is the gear and loot. And I thought I would be done with that last week, but I just keep adding little details and more gear, more epic items, and which is always good to have. More is better,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Especially if
So
you're a DM, you're like, oh, I can just give you
yeah,
this, and you
exactly.
don't
I mean,
have to come up
as
with your own
long as
stuff
it's not
maybe.
just rules and for the sake of
Yeah.
rules, and it's just playable content, I always think more is better.
Mm. Yeah. So it's the system's a D100 system. Is there any reason why you pick D100 systems over like a D20 or D12, D6?
Well, they are my absolute favorite. As a big fan of Rollmaster and basic role playing and all the systems games spanned from basic role playing, it's definitely my favorite system. I think it's very intuitive because everybody knows how percentile percentages works,
Yeah.
and I don't know, it's just easy. I like it. It lends way well towards a skill based rule set, which is also something I prefer.
Yeah, I suppose it also
Um,
makes sense. It's like you said, it's coming from an MMO type game, and they're basically all percentage chances on
yeah,
what loot and stuff you can get and how things work. So it makes sense to have the whole system run through that.
yes, I think it's a good
So you're
fit. Yeah.
yeah, so you have character progression. So how is that gonna work? Is it all from XP, or do you gain like points to put into skills?
So in the first edition, yeah, you had I think it was 5 different ranks, and you gain experience by doing stuff, mostly killing enemies, and you will increase certain abilities, which will eventually push you to the next rank. But here I
Okay.
decided to just get rid of everything, and there's no experience, there's no ranks. You just improve via loot, basically. That's it.
Okay.
So
So
the more lucky you get, I suppose, the better your character will be. But
yeah.
the loot drops, I mean, I think they're well balanced. I still need to play test it better. But I mean, you're going to feel like you're getting better session after session because the thing is, I mean, you have this mastery. I'm sorry, this hearts. I'm going to carnetales now. You have the hearts, which are kind of like character classes,
Yeah.
which they are all like sets of abilities grouped around a theme. So you have the Bastion Heart, which is basically like your tank type of class, but not really. They're not classes, but well, you get an idea. And or the Blade, which is more like focused on swords and like kind of melee combat, or the Arrow Heart, Arcane
Mm,
Heart, Death Heart. You have 12 different hearts. So the thing is that in first edition you were stuck to you could only pick four. In this one you do not have a limit. You can mix and match as much as you want,
okay.
as
So it's
long as you find the correct hearts and the correct abilities that you have to unlock on each heart. So that's why I say the character progression is tied to loot, because you need to see if you get
have certain equipment to get certain things.
yeah.
Yeah, that yeah, and like I said, it was inspired by MMOs as well, so that also makes sense with that. And
Yeah,
like,
and then there are items like
yeah,
they allow your character to increase their health or their skills. I mean, everything is drops. You can increase your stats and your skills and everything um, via drops. Well, there is a one thing that you can increase that is separate from loot drops, which is your skills, and it works like in a couple of other my games like Carnethalas. When you roll doubles on a skill check, then you can mark it for advancement, and then you just make a check, and
okay,
if you pass it, it goes up by d4, and if you fail, it goes up by 1. So
okay,
I
that's
mean, you
cool.
have that constant
Yeah,
improvement of your
so
character.
you're always feeling like there's something going on.
Yeah,
Like in
definitely.
some other games, it can when you have a lot of XP sort of based stuff, you can feel like you're stuck in the same level in the same position for a very long time, depending on the
Yeah,
game. And obviously, the higher level you go, it can be more like, what's taking so long? So that's pretty cool because like then it's going to encourage you to do more like dungeon delving or fighting to get more
yeah,
items and get more stuff to create things in the crafting system you have as well, which can then obviously impact your leveling up as well in some way.
yeah, definitely
Like
is.
if you like it has like blacksmithing here, well maybe I want to create like new greaves or something like that for my character or a sword or something.
Yeah, if you get the loot drop, I mean, you can get some of the different kinds of loot you can get. There are blueprints for crafting your gear, like
Mm,
weapons and armor, all that, or different formula, which are for your alchemy stuff. And
nice.
And well, if you get the loot drop, then you gather the crafting materials, which you do just by killing monsters, or you go exploring and you can mine or collect, do some herb gathering and all these kind of things. And then with
Mm,
all the ingredients and crafting materials you've gathered, you just go and choose whatever you want to craft from the available blueprints or formula you have. And
yeah,
yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, all your in all your games, your systems are very well thought out, and they're all pretty logical, and how they develop and feed into each other. And like you said, it creates that loop.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. I think it's important to have that loop, and also making sure that you don't have to fall into that loop if you don't want, because otherwise it will not be an RPG. So you
yeah,
if you are lazy or just not in the mood to create a story and to use the GM-less tools, or to like to emulate all the narrative mechanics, you can just fall back into that loop of taking a quest, going, finishing the quest, coming back, getting the reward,
yeah,
crafting, selling gear, and then going back. Or yeah, like I said, if you want, you can create your story. You have all the oracles and all the tables in the GM-less section to play the game as a proper RPG.
yeah. Because it has in here about you can have fully procedural quest systems and all that in place. So
Yeah.
pretty much, so everything is in. Oh, the English went on me there. So pretty much everything you're going to need is obviously in the book. And if you wanted, you could assume that if a DM wanted to play, okay, I created this sort of quest line and I'm gonna have my players go and play that. They can do that as well.
Oh yeah, without a
Yeah,
problem. It's actually very simple. This
yeah,
this version I haven't played it with people yet, but the first edition I have run it for my friends, and it's just very simple because the game runs itself. You just have to
yeah.
generate a couple of things on the fly if you want, or even beforehand, which makes it even easier for you as a GM. And yeah, it's very easy to run this. Very simple.
And it has encounters and monsters and stuff like that. Do you know how many creature sort of stuff is going to be in this game, or what you're
Um,
aiming for?
um, it has more than first edition, and the first one had I think it was 60. So I don't know, let's say between 60 and 80. The thing is that each one of them has, aside from its own stat block, they have their action table. So
Hmm.
and you know exactly what they are going to do
Yeah,
when you're in combat against them, because you just roll on their table, and well, you have different options, and they have their loot tables as well. So yeah, they're pretty fleshed out, all of them. Each one of them is a whole page. So yeah, it's a
oh
lot of,
nice. So it's
yeah, it's
yeah.
a big chunk of the book is the bestiary.
Yeah, so it's not just a paragraph. There's like
No,
tables
not at
for
all.
actions or how they're going to do things,
Yeah,
um,
no, it's
who they're
pretty
going to
detailed.
target and what. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh, oh, cool. And also, again, your solo rules or lazy GM rules. I love how you say this in all your games: solo or lazy GM. That's actually the one of the things that actually got me back into playing RPGs. Is I didn't have anyone to play with because like I do night work and it's at the weekend as well. And well, most people they end up doing their games on the weekend or like on a Friday night. Well, that's
yeah,
when I work, so I
yeah,
came across 1,000 Dead Worlds, and it has all the stuff in there for a player to create everything themselves. Speaking of that, I actually I created sort of a Dead Space sort
oh,
of
nice.
like environment with that. Like it was so cool.
That's
Like
really cool.
you can create anything. You can make if you want to recreate movies or creatures and worlds, you can do that very easy with that game. But I just want to say that because all your games they
That's
have
pretty
great
cool.
solo rules and they're going to be a little different to each other on each game based on the
Yeah,
type of game
I
they are
try
as
to
well.
tailor them a little bit to each
Yeah,
game and all that. Yes, even though the core rules are the same, the core solo rules at least.
yeah,
Of course, how they interface with each game is it's different.
yeah. I have travel events, all that sort of stuff in here. So it's
Yeah,
yeah, it's great. And you say it's ideal for West March style games or forever DMs
yeah,
in the Kickstarter page.
Yeah, because it's pretty easy to have your character created, and then you can just join a group for a quest, and then you can then continue with the same character by yourself, or
Yeah,
continue different 4 sessions after. I mean, since it lends well to this kind of episodic type of gameplay, it's perfect for a West Marchers style of campaign if you want.
nice. Yeah, I was just looking at the PDF here that you sent me. I'll put up now in
Mhm.
a second, and the art in here is great as well.
Yeah, well, as I told you, the PDF is it's pretty much in an alpha state. It's missing most of the art. It's missing a couple of the
Yeah,
chapters. There's a lot of things that are still in progress, but well, you get a good idea of how the game is going to look.
yeah, and just going by this, it already looks amazing.
Oh, thanks.
um, I was to say as well. Obviously, I'll link in the description and in the comment section where people can find the Kickstarter page, your website, your social media, and all that stuff. I'll
Thanks.
do a reminder at the end as well. I'll just throw up the. Is that up now? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just have a quick look through this so people get an idea of the art and maybe the layout of the game and how it all looks. Also, yeah, I'll link your Patreon as well,
Oh,
which is,
nice.
is is great. So if anyone hasn't been on that, you should get on that. If you're interested in Alex's type of games and solo stuff, because I believe on your Patreon, you have stuff that's exclusive to that.
Yeah. For example, well, it's this year I tried a small experiment with a game called Machine Gods of the Enoxian Expanse.
Yeah,
So the idea was to offer it only through Patreon, kind of to like a reward for the
an
loyalty
incentive
and
sort of thing.
support. Yeah, and also to incentivize new people and trying to get more people to join.
Yeah.
And but well, I mean, still kind of an exclusive to it to the Patreon. But I'm releasing actually. I think this week already. I'm getting the copies. I made a there are two Machine Gods books, the core rules and one of the setting books, and
Hmm.
I made 100 copies of each, offset copies, really beautiful books. I set up the pre-order already, but they're basically all gone already.
That's a
So
great problem.
so yeah,
I'm selling too much. God damn
there's
it.
obviously interest in this little setting, which is amazing. I'm really I'm really honored, that, humble, and happy that people like it.
That's
So
cool.
yeah, so I guess it's back to being a Patreon exclusive because the offset copies are basically gone. I'll
That's
have
good.
I'll have a handful of them to put back in the site. I don't think maybe 5-10 copies that I set
Yeah,
aside in case some of them came. I don't know. There's always some kind of issue with books, so I always set a few aside in case there's somebody gets their book broken or whatever.
yeah,
So, but I'm sure I'll have a few to leave on the site again. But yeah, they're basically gone. And yeah, aside from that, well, my patrons always get all my previews. They get once my games are released, they always get a copy of it, either PDF or print on demand, depending on the tier they join. And they also get other exclusive content. Yeah. So yeah,
nice. Yeah, so just having a quick look through this here, and like I said, the art here looks great. The layout, it's very well laid out. The
oh,
font is
thanks.
really, I like the font in this. You get some games where the font is just, it's just hard to read.
Yeah, I'm happy with this font too. I was using I was always using Cambria, but there were some problems with some certain PDF readers, so I made a switch to this one, which is the one I'm using in. I think this is the first. No, sorry, Machine Gods uses the same one. This is the second game I use, but from now on, this is the font I'm using the most for the core for the body of text. This is the one
Yeah,
because, like you said, it's easy to read and it's pleasant.
yeah.
So
Because sometimes fonts, they can have sort of letters blend into each other sometimes, or they're
yeah,
too, like, sometimes I would probably reading like squiggly writing.
yeah,
I think it might be a me issue, but but yeah, like some of the art in here you have is great. Do you know is it one or two people doing the art? Is it,
It's
or
just
is it
one
like
person. Yeah,
oh
it's
wow, yeah,
so well. I mean, there's like the cover is done by a sorry, it's just I can't remember his name. It's an Italian illustrator. Well, all the credits are both in the Kickstarter and in the book. Actually, there you have it.
oh you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, sorry, it's a little bit small for me to read. From
Cover by
Francesco.
Francesco Carbulli.
Yeah,
Carbul.
so that's it. Yeah, and the most
Yeah,
of the art
interior
is
art.
done by Miguel.
Yeah,
And
Romero.
there's a couple of icons and all that it was Penny who
And then the
did
maps are
the
done by Glenn Seal.
yeah. So, but yeah, like 95% of the art is the same person.
Oh wow, yeah, that's cool. Because this, it kind of feels a bit.
Star Wars. That's a little bit
Yeah,
like that to
that's.
me.
I was
When
thinking
it's
like what's it from the. Yeah, it's like the
Knights of
Star
the
Wars
Old
Dead
Republic
Masks.
or
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that.
that's it. That's it. I couldn't bloody remember. I love those games. I haven't
Yeah,
played them in a long
yeah.
time. It
Oh
looks
my god.
cool.
Yeah,
So you have the light and then the red and the darkness. So that's
yeah,
cool.
that's the vibe it gave me as well. I said, "Oh
Yeah.
my god, this is nice. This is culture."
I think anyone that's like above like 30 odd will know the Knights of the Old Republic games for sure. And
Yeah.
it talks about here like the player characters. It talks about the attribute points, what you're going to have, normal sort of stuff. But in this, you have your ability pool, your aether, health, luck, parry, and protection. These are all going to be things to be rolling on, I believe. Is it?
Well, you generate some of them by rolling, but
Yeah,
others, like for example, your ability pool, that one is fixed. Your luck, you start with zero, and that one you only get via
gear.
the gear you have
Yeah,
equipped.
yeah, yeah. Okay,
So, well, yeah, they're a little bit different.
okay. And it has the different skills you can have in here. You have agility, alchemy, animal handling, armor smithing, lots of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing about your games is you cover a lot of skills and stuff like that. So your players can create pretty much any type of character. If they want to have a character that specializes in one or two things, they can do that. Um,
Yeah, definitely. I'm a big fan of skill-based systems.
yeah,
So I basically all my games are skill-based.
and your proficiencies. You talked about this a bit earlier on the Kickstarter page. The abilities, the hearts, and the
Yeah,
proficiencies.
yeah.
The proficiency is going to be related to pretty much your gear, isn't it?
Yeah, they're just for to see which weapons and armor you can use.
Yeah, yeah.
They're very narrow and
And the
focused
hearts,
basically on that. And the hearts are the core of
yeah,
what
sort
makes
of
your
like
character
your
yours.
your quote unquote classes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you gain more hearts, you're able to put them into the relevant sort of ability loadout.
Yeah. So the ability loadout, that's I went a little bit in a different direction here with how combat works. So instead of being the typical just dice-based combat, I'm
Hmm.
trying to emulate a card game. So you
Oh,
have
okay,
so you have your ability loadout, which will be like your deck, which is a list
okay,
of 12 skills. I mean abilities
yeah,
that you pick. It can be the same one. You can have the same one in your loadout up to 3 times. So
okay.
you see there, you just
Yeah,
write
it's
them
like a
down.
duplicate you could have,
Yeah,
sort of like you could have in some combat card games. Okay, cool.
yeah, and
So
then when
yeah,
you start the combat, you draw 5 cards. Or actually, my hope is that we unlock one of the stretch goals in the Kickstarter is actual physical cards for the abilities. So if
mm.
we unlock them, you will be able to play it like a card game if you want.
Oh,
And
cool.
if not, you can just use the ability loadout and dice, and that's it.
Yeah. So you're not stuck in having to use the cards if someone doesn't want
No,
to
no,
use them,
not
or
no, no,
yeah,
not at all.
yeah,
No, yeah,
that's good.
no. I made sure you can play equally with
Yeah,
with the cards or without the cards. Yeah, for
okay,
sure.
that's good.
Yeah,
And then here it has like we talked about that heart, you have the arcane heart, the
yeah. No,
the
each
arrow
heart
harrow
has
heart. Yeah,
15 different abilities.
yeah. So there's 12 or so here, believe it or not.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah, 15 times 12
blade.
abilities. Yeah,
Wow, that's one thing your games do not lack is uh, is variety for sure.
Yeah, I'm
It's
big in player customization and
yeah,
in player builds. That's maybe not the main, but definitely one of the main reasons why I play role playing games. I just love character builds. It doesn't have to be necessarily the best build. I'm not really a min maxer. I just
yeah,
like to have a lot of options and just try my own
it's
stuff.
choice really, and oh, that's
Yeah,
that's
it's a
different
lot
from
about
this. So
choice. Yeah,
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 that's cool. Because that was one thing about Kieran Natalis as well, which I think a lot of people really loved about it. There was a
yeah,
lot of variety, a lot of choice, and you could play through the same because everything is generated by the player in that game.
yeah,
So like you can play it 20,000 different times. You're going to have many different results based on the classes you have or you
yeah,
use and what you roll out. It's yeah, you'll still find a lot of people uploading their videos on YouTube of that.
yeah, yeah. It's awesome.
Whoop. Yeah. Oh, you've like alternative appearance, multiple
Yeah,
eyes, antennae.
because
Okay, so it's creating
the
things more.
default
Yeah,
the default is humans because
yeah,
I personally like human centered, human focused settings. But
yeah. I
this
mean, I'm the
game is
same.
a little bit more, let's say, high fantasy or more. I don't
Yeah,
know.
a bit more wacky.
Yeah, so I added options for you to have different kinds of characters. So if you want to play with a kind of elf or draconic or whatever you want, you can do it. The game is just cosmetic choices, so it's
Yeah.
irrelevant.
So it's more of a for the player.
Yeah, definitely, and it's all
See,
baked
I'm a
into the lore. There's a lore reason why that's like that. So
yeah, yeah.
it's yeah,
That's good. I am personally a dwarf supremacist, so dwarf power. Do you have your achievements? I don't think what exactly are the achievements? I don't think we talked about that.
yeah. So of course, like all MMOs, you have your achievements,
Oh,
and
okay, yeah, yeah,
in the first
yeah,
edition, that was one of the things that it was just a huge pain in the ass to track because I just created a huge list of achievements and it was like, okay, which one did I unlock? It was is this thing I did now, does it match one of the 30, 50, I don't know how many achievements they were, does it match any of them?
yeah,
I have to check the huge list of achievements and see, I killed this kind of creature, is it an achievement? Oh no. But so here what I did is that you choose a different path, which is like a group of achievements,
yeah,
and it's a much more uh, narrow um, set of goals, and it's much easier to track. And once you
yeah.
complete a path, you get a title, which unlocks. Well, actually, each achievement gives you some sort of advantage, but once you complete a path, it gives you a title, and the title it gives you some sort of benefit.
That's cool. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's another point of progress for the player character.
yeah, yeah. That's
So
it.
like,
Yeah,
so it seems like at every point you're going to feel like you are developing, not just in
definitely.
yeah. So
Yeah,
this is
because
obviously for melee. So for combat, you have the Path of Shadows as well, which is skill based and stealth
yeah,
sort of achievements. We have the Arcane, which presumably is going to be all about magic because Arcane. And then you have your Explorer here, and Diplomat, which is going to be obviously about convincing characters
yeah.
and
Social encounters and all that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, Silver Tongue has here, and that's going to give you a +10 to your manipulation skill, which is quite big because you're D100 system.
yeah.
You're getting, yeah,
Yeah, it's a nice boost. Yeah,
yeah, that's a good big boost. It talks about character progression in this, like you have some like the elf character you could create, and oh, that's cool. That
yeah.
that this picture kind of looks like the Monarch monster on the cover, and it's all like deboned, like skin coming off it.
Which monarch cover? The
Let me think. Oh, Overwar. The Night Comes Down, the Monarch
oh,
Edition.
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of looks like that
Oh,
creature on the
oh,
cover
yeah,
with
yeah.
with
You're
the
right.
skin taken off it. It's a
Yeah,
little more bloated looking, but it kind of does.
yeah. You're right. Yeah, didn't realize. Well, it's just a coincidence.
Yeah, and it talks about the basic core rules in here. You have different checks you're going to make, the difficulty and the modifiers you're going to add to it. Yep. Like successes and fumbles. mastery checks, disadvantage and advantage checks.
Yeah. From here on, you can see all the art is missing because
Yeah,
you have those gray
yeah,
boxes where the
like
art
like
should go.
yeah, like we said a few times now. This is just a work in progress still.
Yeah.
Like to be honest, like you've already when you could do Kickstarters, your books are almost completely finished when you put them out on the Kickstarters. I've noticed, a
Yeah.
lot of people sometimes only have a bare idea what they're doing, and it takes like 2 years or something to get finished.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be able to do that really. It will be
Yeah,
way too much stress. The this is the I think this is the first time. I mean, the Kickstarter is launching in 2 days, so I'm not completely done with the game, and I think it's the first time I'm doing that. Usually, I'm actually 100% done with the game, but this time, since it's a second edition, I know exactly where I'm going, what I'm doing, and I'm
yeah,
basing the bestiary, which is the last chapter I have left. Like I said, is I'm just taking all the creatures from the first edition and adding a few new ones. Of course, I have to do a lot of balancing and a lot of
mm,
changes, so it's not just a one copy. But still, I mean, I know I'm done in 15 days. So by the time the Kickstarter is done, the game is completely fully written. And once if the Kickstarter is successful, a couple of weeks later, once the Kickstarter funds clear, I will send the finished game, aside from the art, of course, to all the backers. So
yeah. Because I've backed several of your Kickstarters, and your turnaround is very quick.
yeah, except with Across a Thousand Worlds, but that was completely out of my
Yeah, I
control.
remember you talked about that on some interviews and podcast stuff before.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
yeah,
a nightmare. Yeah,
yeah, you kind of got screwed, I think, wasn't it?
yeah, a few
Yeah,
times. Yeah. So, but since then, I'm doing everything alone. Therefore, I have full control, and
yeah,
therefore, I deliver.
yeah. That's good.
Yeah,
But yeah. So this is, I think this sort of stuff puts a lot of confidence in people because a lot of time, if people have never come across a creative before, you're always taking a risk.
yeah, of
For me
course.
personally, I've backed, I think it's pretty much all your Kickstarters now, or at least most of them.
Thanks.
And again, I've never had any complaints. And yeah, so if anyone who's looking to back things, Alex is always a great creator. He always gets back to people. If there's any issues, like you said, you sort them out for people.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, is there anything else you want to add in here before maybe we talk about some of your other games?
No, I think
Anything you
we
want
we
to touch on
cover.
about Riftbreakers particularly?
I think we covered pretty much it. I mean, all the rest of the info is on the Kickstarter
Kickstarter
Excel.
page.
So yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think we're
This,
good.
yeah, that's good. This is one great thing that Kickstarter changed in the last couple
Yeah,
months.
yeah, that's
You
great.
can actually,
Being
it's
able
instead of
to
just
have.
having this, we used to just get. I don't know what anything is. It's just like okay, it's a cool picture and some basic information on the creator.
As
But
a
now we
creator, having that one sentence of space you have,
yeah
it's like, how can I convey a whole game into one sentence?
yeah and a
It was
picture
very difficult in a picture. Yeah. So yeah, the fact that now you can add
yeah.
text is an absolute blessing.
I think this has actually helped a lot of people because in the last 6 to 8 months, it seems to be more, especially RPG stuff is being created, and people are like jumping on it because they're able to get an idea of what it's about.
Yeah,
So because sometimes you might look at someone's page and it might be like this: you have a picture and a name, and like maybe they won't click on saved or like for a reminder because they're like I don't know. But this
yeah,
it makes it a lot better. You can at least get an idea of some of the basic systems in place. So you talk about RPGs, which is very important for people to understand, because that
yeah,
can be a make or break on. Oh, I like this kind of game. This sounds cool, so I'll click it to remind it.
yeah,
That's a big change. So I think it's for the best that they've done.
yeah. I completely agree.
So I want to ask you about some of the other games. Is there any game that you have created which you think is your best work or that you enjoy the most? And it doesn't have to be because it is the best game, it's just something about it that draws you in the most.
Mm, well, those are two different things, I would say, actually, because I think that at least for now, the best game I've written is Ruthless Heaven's Boundless Fate, because
Mm.
it's extremely complete. even though it's a D20, and I'm not generally a fan of D20 systems, I think I really covered everything that you need in that sort of game. It's a pretty thick book, and it
Yeah,
has.
I have two copies of that actually. I have the POD and the uh, you done the offset on that, wasn't it, as
Yeah,
well?
I did the
Yeah, I have
offset.
the
Yeah,
offset of that as well.
yeah. I appreciate it.
Like it's a big book. It's very well
Yeah,
complete. The layout
and
is really good.
that's one of the few times I finished a game and I didn't have pages of notes of things I wanted to add because
Yeah.
there was I said, okay, anything I'm coming up with, it's going into the game.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
I'm really happy with that game. Yeah.
yeah, that's cool because I know you've talked about in other interviews before. You're a bit of a perfectionist, so you'll complete something and then like a few weeks later, or a few months later, you're like, "Well, I could do this."
Yeah. Yes. All my games are always a work in progress.
It's a blessing and a curse for yourself, I'm sure.
And then to follow up with your question,
Yeah,
that will be what I think is my best game, but my favorite game, I don't know, it will probably be Sacrifice, especially now that I'm working on the
yeah,
second edition. The second edition is just shaping up very, very, very good. It's the kind of dark fantasy, low fantasy, very
yeah.
gritty type
I like that
of
sort
setting
of
that I
stuff.
like.
Yeah,
Yeah, so in the second edition is
grimdark.
yeah, definitely,
Yeah,
and it's shaping up very, very nicely. The art is just ridiculously incredible. I'm working with a couple of extremely talented illustrators. I mean, it's going to have nothing to. It's going to be like a AAA game when it comes to artwork and design. It's to on the same level as something like Cubicle 7 or
yeah,
Modifius. I mean, it's that kind of incredible artwork, very, very dark and very just amazing. So it's the combination of incredible art, the setting, and the rules that I'm writing now for the second edition. I really think this is going to be both my best game and my favorite when it comes to type of game and setting.
yeah. Because I love Sacrifice. I
Yeah.
played it so much.
Thanks.
Like I said in the review I done for it,
Yeah.
it's compatible with pretty much any D20 like system you've had over the years. Though
Yeah.
if you want to take an adventure for something, you could play with that if you wanted to.
Yeah. Definitely. Yes.
Even take creatures from other books if you just want to add more stuff in, you can do that pretty easy. You only
Yeah.
it's like what most games you have to change one or two things, maybe increase or decrease AC or hit dice or something like that, which is like that's normal when you're changing things around. Because if you're playing something from like an OD&D to AD&D, you need to
Yeah. Yeah. You
change
need
things a
to
little
tweak
bit.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not much. If you're a GM and you've been playing like a couple of months, you're going to understand how to do that pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's lots of fun. So and again, like as you said here, you're working on several things at once.
Oh
Like we
yeah.
said at the beginning, you're a prolific creator in the best possible sense.
Yeah. I'm
And
working on
again,
way too many things at once. I'm always working on some new Carnethales content, so that's always because it's my most successful game, and also
yeah,
I'm obsessed with it. It's really just like I mean, Sacrifice is my favorite setting, but Carnethalas is just a tiny bit under it.
yeah,
It's not my favorite because it's still a little bit too. It's not low fantasy. It's still dark fantasy, which of course it's all my favorite games are dark fantasy,
mhm,
but it's still a little bit too magic focused. With Sacrifice isn't, and I prefer Sacrifice just because of that. That gives it the
yeah,
edge. Otherwise, Carnethalas will be my favorite, and the setting I'm slowly building and expanding week after week via the lore posts I make on the website. That's
yeah,
really fleshing it out. So I'm always working on new Carnethalas material. I'm also working on the Across a Thousand That Was expansion. I'm working on the second edition of Sacrifice, even though lately I have it a little bit on pause. I'm letting the artist catch up with what I have. Uh,
The guy's like, slow down, will you? Give me a minute. Let me draw a
and
line before you add like a paragraph.
yeah, basically. And of course, I'm wrapping up Riftbreakers, which is going to be
Yeah.
done in a week or two, and well, and a lot of other things. I'm working on a new skirmish game with Ivan Sorensen from um, he's the creator of Five Par Six from
Oh
Pomo,
yeah, I have
Five Leagues from the
yeah,
Borderlands, and
I have 5 parsecs.
yeah, so
I got that a couple months ago actually. It's really good
amazing.
fun.
He's such a talented creator, and
That's a good combination because both you
uh,
guys do
well,
solo
I'm
stuff
very,
as
I'm
well pretty
very,
well.
I'm
Yeah,
very, I'm very humbled by the fact that
that's
he
awesome.
allowed me to work with him, because it's such a great opportunity, and he's so good. He was definitely one of the inspirations for me when it came to start working on solo stuff.
That's
So
awesome.
I've been
Felt
following
like a
his
dream
games,
sort of
and
opportunity.
oh yeah, completely, yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah, so we're working on a game together, which is almost done also. So it's called Tales from the Green, and yeah, it's a sci-fi, strange, tribal biotech thing.
Nice.
Yeah,
So like
it's
a weird world sort
solo
of thing.
skirmish game. No,
Yeah.
not so weird. More like biofusions with a planet with very aggressive nature. That
Okay.
humanity, a little bit like the Avatar films, but
Okay. Yeah.
less hippie and more and more
More dark.
gritty, maybe.
Yeah.
No, not necessarily dark either. We're not going for a dark tone, but more in the sense that humanity cannot colonize that planet at all, so they end up being almost overwhelmed by it, and developing a force symbiotic relationship with it, and changing, mutating a little bit. So it's going to
Oh, okay.
be heavy on kit bashing and this kind of thing. So a lot of personalization, both on your characters you're playing, on the
Yeah.
stats, and on the minis you use.
Oh, nice. So if anyone
Yeah,
doesn't know what kitbashing is, it's basically when you get a load of parts from different models and you slap them together, they will create something unique.
yeah.
Yeah, I love 3D printing. I have a 3D
Oh,
printer, resin
yeah.
printer.
So
So
that's perfect. Yeah,
I love I've lots of creators I follow and stuff, and I love the creators who do things like the arms are separate, the bodies are separate,
yeah,
and then slap everything together.
yeah,
Because it's
yeah.
a great
So
way if you're the army stuff or you want skirmish games. Again, you can have your unique characters, but they might look kind of
yeah,
similar to something. But you're like, I
yeah.
don't know what that is.
Yeah, so
So that's
this
cool.
game for you for sure, because it's all about that. You're going to end
Awesome.
up with characters with a tail, with three arms, with bark skin. So
Okay, I'm
yeah,
gonna give you my card details. But yeah, I'll definitely cover that when that comes out. I'll happily cover anything you're ever doing. Just you can ask or tell me about it, and I'll try it out there. Because again, I
no,
love your stuff. You're
oh,
literally, like I
thanks.
said before, you're the reason why I was able to get back into RPGing. I came across your games, and I came across A Thousand Dead Worlds first, and I was like, oh, cool, there's solo stuff on this. Okay, sounds great. And I was like, I'll jump on that. And then I found out you had more stuff. I was like, okay, I'll buy this. Yeah, I have another Kickstarter. I'll get on that. And then yeah.
Well,
And
I
then again,
appreciate
like I
it.
said,
Thanks.
with Sacrifice, that was one of the ones that I just went heavy on playing. So yeah.
Thanks.
But I'll link in the description for everyone where we can find the Kickstarter page or your website. And also, I encourage anyone who wants to buy any of your stuff to buy things on your website over Drive to RPG. You're going to gain more money from that, obviously, because Drive
Yeah,
Through
and
takes a
I
percentage.
send a Drive to RPG code anyway. So
Oh, there you go.
yeah,
So yeah, if you because you sell PDFs on your website as well, don't you?
yeah, I have all my games on PDFs there,
Yeah,
and
awesome.
except the ones I release. Like third party stuff like the Overwar you
Yeah,
mentioned,
yeah,
or Unration Skies. All those are drive through RPG exclusives
yeah,
because of the way we have the royalties set up. It just makes it easier. It's automatized. It's that way I don't have to be here counting pennies every month and seeing how much it
yeah.
is. So
Or
that
hire
way
someone
drive
to
through
just do
RPG
that job.
handles everything. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. So yeah, again, everyone go onto his website. You can buy all his stuff there. And if it's any like mixed content, like he's done stuff with Galleon Night games, I'll link all that stuff on Drive Through RPG as well. So yeah, so is there anything else you'd like to add in this before we finish up?
No, I think we touched pretty much everything. It was very
Awesome.
efficient.
Yeah, it's nearly an hour already, which I think it flew by.
Yeah,
I felt
definitely.
like I was thinking, I was thinking this is going pretty quick. I was like, am I not asking the questions? And I was like, oh no, it's like 45 minutes in. I was like, oh, okay. I thought it was like 25 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's great. So again, we'll link everything in the description below. If anyone has any questions, leave in the comments. I can answer them if I can. If I can't, if you're ever on the page, maybe you can comment a little bit. But yeah, that's it, guys. So thanks again for Alex for doing this.
Well,
I
thank you
was
for
super
having me.
excited for this. Like I said, you're one of my favorite creators, so this
Oh,
is great
thank
for
you.
me.
It was a lot
uh,
of fun, so we can repeat
awesome.
whatever you want.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, that's it, guys. I'll talk to you all again soon. Thanks again for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. I'll talk to you all again soon.
Ciao.